Hi, so today we're going to go over how to add a new badge holder to the card access system, but this time we're going to do it through a web browser as opposed to the dedicated uh, desktop version of the program. So we're going to navigate to the login page in your browser. Right? It's going to ask us to log in, so you're going to put in whatever your login credentials are and then click login. If you're logged in from another location or you logged in from another PC using these same credentials, you'll get hit with this message. If you do, just click OK and it will log out the other location. If you're not, then you're not going to get this message. If this is the first time you're logging in or you only ever log in from one computer, you generally won't ever see this. But if you do, just click OK. All right. So to add a new person, you're going to hover over administration up here and you're going to click on add personnel. Right? And you're going to get a screen that looks like this. Uh, and what you're going to do is you're going to type in the person's badge number, right, which is going to be on the back of your ID card. And then you're going to put in their first name and their last name. And then you'll navigate over to Access Group, and this is the screen where you're going to tell the system basically what groups of doors should this individual be able to access. Um, so you can set them up with up to 16 different groups, right? And you can do that by clicking on each one row by row here, the drop down, and basically assigning them different groups. So in our example, we don't have too many groups. There's only 4 here. Um, but let's say for this example, this person is a warehouse manager, and I want to give them access to all the doors in what we call warehouse A, and then all the doors in our second warehouse, what we call warehouse B. Again, your group names will probably be different than this, but the idea is the same. Um, so for instance, if I only want them to have warehouse access, I would not give a main office because we don't want them getting into the main office. So I'm going to leave it just like this with only warehouse stuff in the list. Okay, and then we can move on over to personnel. And you see there's a lot of different fields here, but you're by no means required to fill anything in here. The system will let you save the badge and it'll work right without it. But if you do want to, you're free to fill in um, anything here. And then you might have a final tab at the end, maybe name miscellaneous or custom with some custom fields here. I have an employee ID field in mind, so if you do have employee IDs, you can type that in there. Uh, Right. Now, the next step, again, optional, but if you are using badging, then you'd probably want to fill this in. But you click on photo, and when you click browse, you can basically go on your computer and tell the system essentially where the picture of that particular badge holder is. So on my desktop, I have a generic photo here. I'm going to select it and click open, and then I'm going to click import photo. And what it did is it brought that folder of this, phony badge holder in to the system. Um, right, so at this point, we can save it, it'll get added, and it'll be activated immediately, the badge. And the reason it will be activated immediately is these 3 options that are checked here: enable, stay on panel, and initial download. Um, because these are all checked, as soon as I hit the save button, that person will be enabled and their information will get sent over to the panels, which just basically means if they take their badge and go to a door that you gave them access to, it will unlock for them. Um, all right. So the only other thing before we save to make note of are these 2 fields here, which are activation date and time and expiration date and time. So if you have a badge holder that maybe is starting the beginning of next week, right? It's the 8th now, but if they're starting the 13th and I want to get them their badge right away, um, I can give them their badge and select the 13th here, uh, right? And then I can also type in a time, right, for the badge to activate. So maybe I want it to activate at 2 p.m. on October the 13th, right? So you can type that in there. And the same actually goes for the expiration date. Let's say we know that person gave their 2 weeks notice and they're going to be leaving October 30th, right? You can specify an expiration date here. This way you don't have to worry, oh, might have forgotten to disable this person and now they have access to the facility after they left, right? After the 30th came and went. So setting it like this is kind of a precautionary thing where it takes the burden off of you from having to remember to do that. And you'll notice here that enabled automatically got unchecked, right? Because the system will not enable them until the 13th. So it will go in and automatically do this. And again, you're not required to fill this in, right? It's just a useful feature. Um, so we're going to go ahead and make sure this is enabled, and then we're going to click Save. And we're going to need to make sure we get this message, right? If we get this message, it's confirming that the badge was added, right? And now we see our badge holder. So I'm in the system right now. And now let's fast forward. Let's say a few months goes by and I'm no longer working at the company. What you would do is you would go in to the portal, the web portal. You're going to see this screen. Um, and then all you're going to do is select the person and then click delete. It's going to ask us to delete record just to get our confirmation, and we're going to click OK. And again, we're going to want to see this confirmation message here. And as long as we get that, we click OK, and now I'm completely out of the system. Now, an alternative way of doing that, it would have been just simply to uncheck enabled and click save, right? So one way basically keeps me in the system still, but my badge is essentially useless, right? That way is when you uncheck enable and save it. Um, the other way, which is the way before, was to completely remove me from the system, to erase all record of an Alex Y being in the system, right? So those are sort of two different methods of removing somebody or disabling their access, rather, right? And that's the basics of adding a badge or adding a badge holder.